This is the equipment you will need for the calorimetry lab. So you will need a ring stand, a utility clamp, a wire gauze, a ring support, a striker, a Bunsen burner, a large wide test tube, 2 thermometers, a 400 ml beaker, a 600 ml beaker, 2 styrofoam cups nestled into one another, and a square cardboard lid for our cups, and a pencil. So that's the equipment that you will need for the calorimetry lab. To prepare our metal with the cups, we have our calorimeter is 2 cups that we're going to put inside one another, and we have our lid. We want to get it ready for the metal. So you're going to place your metal inside the calorimetry cup so that you can see it inside. And then you're going to take your pencil and you're going to mark about 2 centimeters above that tallest part of your metal. So I don't know if you can see that there, 2 centimeters above that. Draw a line because that's where you're going to put the water. Okay? And we go ahead and take your metal out, set this aside, and then we're going to set up the boiler. Now we're going to set up the boiler for our calorimetry experiment. We need a ring stand, a ring support. We're going to place the ring support onto our ring stand. Okay. How high? Well, we're going to heat up some water on after we put the wire gauze up there. We're going to heat some water in a in a beaker, and we're going to use a Bunsen burner to heat that water. So I want to make sure that the height of the ring stand is just enough above the Bunsen burner so I can get the Bunsen burner underneath. Okay? You're going to use your wire gauze, and the 600 ml beaker is going to sit on top of the wire gauze. All right? The metal that we had in our styrofoam cups, you're going to put it into our large test tube. What you want to do is carefully put it on its side, slide it down, and then you're going to stick this test tube in a utility clamp, and you're going to clamp it close to the very top of the test tube so that it holds it in there. Okay? And then you're going to put this utility clamp onto our ring stand, and you're going to lower this into the beaker. You do not want the bottom of that test tube touching the bottom of the beaker. You want it suspended a little bit. Okay? Next, we need for our boiler, we need to fill our beaker, not the test tube. The test tube inside will stay dry, but outside the test tube, inside the beaker, we want to fill it up so it's about a centimeter above the metal that's in the beaker. I'm going to take some tap water. And I'm going to fill my beaker with water until it's about a centimeter above the metal. Because I want the whole metal underneath that water, so when we heat it up, it will actually heat up all at the same temperature. So do you see that? Okay. All right. So now, what we're going to do is we're going to light our Bunsen. Oh, the other thing we need to do is we're going to record the temperature of the metal. So we need a thermometer inside that test tube next to the metal itself, because I want to get the temperature of the metal. We're going to heat up the water, and we're going to do that with the Bunsen burner. So make sure we take the hose, put it onto our gas jet. The needle valve is closed. The air is closed. All right. Turn on our air. Open up the gas jet. Turn this on. Add some air so we get a nice flame. Okay, so adjust it so you get a nice flame. And then we're going to heat up our water in our boiler. I'm going to actually put it on this side. Okay, that looks better. Okay, it looks a little safer. Try to get this flat. There we go. Okay. So it's going to take about 10 minutes for it to, well, we actually want to heat up the water till it's boiling, and then we're going to boil the water for 10 minutes. And once the water stabilizes, and we're going to record the temperature once it stabilizes inside that test tube. Now for this part of the experiment, we need to get the mass of our 2 nestled styrofoam cups. Okay, so make sure when you come to the balance, the analytical balance, zero the balance, open the door, place your cup onto the balance itself, shut the door, and get your measurement. Your measurements might be a little bit different from this experiment, but that's how you would measure your empty calorimetry cups. When you are done, take your cups off, shut the door, and then re-zero it for the next person. Now we need to remember we drew that line for our metal. So we want to take our distilled water or deionized water and put enough water in there. This is too small of a hole. We're going to pour water in there till we reach that line. And then make sure you use the deionized or distilled water. Okay? Now we need to go measure the mass of the calorimeter and the water. So now I'm going to get the mass of the calorimeter with the water. I zeroed the balance, open the door, carefully place this on the pan, close the door carefully, record the mass, and then when you are done, again, carefully open the door, remove your sample, and then when you're done, go ahead and zero the balance. Once you have the mass of your styrofoam cups with the water in it, you're going to place it into a 400 ml beaker to stabilize it. So this makes it so it won't fall over. You're going to put our cardboard lid onto our styrofoam cups, and then you're going to place a thermometer in there. And you're going to let the thermometer sit there for a while our water is still trying to get ready to boil. So we're going to let this sit here for a while to equilibrate so that we can measure the water temperature before we add the metal. Now that our metal has been heating here for a good 10 minutes and the temperature stabilized for 5, I'm going to measure the temperature of the water that is in my calorimeter using the thermometer. I'm going to measure the temperature of the metal, and then I'm going to carefully get this ready. I need to take out, turn off the Bunsen burner. I'm going to take out the thermometer from the test tube, and as quickly as I can, I'm going to take my metal and pour it into my calorimeter, and then put the lid back on. And during this time, I'm going to measure the temperature, a couple of 2 or 3 minutes until the temperature, think about the metal is giving off heat and the water is taking in heat. So as the metal cools, the water heats up. We're going to get to a stable temperature. So once that stable temperature is reached, record that new temperature, and we'll get ready for a second trial. And the second trial, if we will use, instead of room temperature distilled water, we will use cold temperature of cold water.